Lifestyles of the not rich and famous.
Lifestyles of the not so rich and famous. By the way, that song we just heard was from High School Musical 2.
I started watching number 1. I've never watched them. Have you seen any of them?
I have not seen one moment of High School Musical film.
Interesting.
Have you seen them, Kate?
One, just the first movie.
Was that good? Because
Are
I
they
didn't
all right?
watch it to the end.
It was all right. I didn't know what the hype was about Zac Efron back then. I would actually be more hyped for Zac Efron right now.
Of course, yeah, because I only seen him in the movies now. What, Greatest Showman? He's pretty good in that.
Yeah.
But in that, he looks so young in High School Musical. I was watching it with my kids, and they liked it. But yeah, I don't see what all the fuss is about now, so much later down the line.
We digress.
Yes, on to today's lifestyles of the not so rich and famous. So during COVID, maybe the rich are getting super yachts. What the not rich and famous are not doing, it seems, is applying for jobs, especially at the lower end of the scale. So we're talking maybe minimum wage jobs in many developed countries. In particular, apparently, it's fast food restaurants.
Are you going to reference a story that was in the news the other day about an advertisement from the King of Burgers in an American state?
Did they do a bit of an enticement to get new workers on board?
They did. Okay, so I'll say it since it's not part of... Right, so I forget which state it was in. It was in the news the other day. But anyway, the King of Burgers put an advertisement up in their window, like this hand-drawn poster. So it wasn't a nationwide campaign. It was just this particular shop. And it said, hey, parents, do you want your... do you have a 14 or 15-year-old and want them to work? We're hiring.
Wow.
And then I think it was Ohio or Iowa. And the internet response was, oh, okay, now we're at the capitalism part where child labor kicks in.
Oh, no.
You know, like people are sarcastic about it. But in that particular state, if you're over 13 years old, then you could work and have a legal job as long as your parents or your guardian signed off on it, I think, were the details of the story. But anyway, the reason I mention that is because that must be part of what you're talking about here, where adults, like for fast food jobs or jobs that pay similarly, companies are having a hard time finding employees.
Yeah, at the moment, because we've been on lockdown in many places around the world, a lot of people lost their jobs or they quit. You know, there was a big risk working in fast food restaurants, even if they were open during COVID times, and you were getting paid minimum wage. So most people thought that's not worth it. You know, they've left that sector. And it's really difficult now for the fast food companies to attract anyone to come back. And part of it is because people who've left the sector, they don't really feel a loyalty to any of those companies they used to work for. Most of them were part-time youngsters or in between college, something like that. And the other side of things is a lot of retailers are now booming once again, maybe through online sales as well, like with products. And then fine dining and casual dining, that's different, they say. They say with those workers, a lot of customers are going back to those restaurants and the restaurants are paying them well because they want an experience of dining out. You know, they've been cooped up at home and things like this. But fast food's not seeing that uptick. Right, it's not the same.
So what's the issue here then? The fast food restaurants are having trouble finding employees because they don't want to work there anymore because of the minimum wage pay, or because they can't afford to have as many employees because people aren't spending as much on fast food anymore?
No, so they can afford it. A lot of the fast food ones are massive conglomerates, right? It's just there's no applicants out there. Apparently, in some parts of the States and in the UK as well, there are 20 jobs on offer per job seeker. So it's now fast food restaurants are competing for the people who are applying, not the other way round.
This is very interesting. So my friend owns a restaurant in another part of the world. And in that part of the world, in that particular food market, there are plenty of jobs. Plenty. They can quit your restaurant one day and walk across the street and get another job in 5 minutes.
Wow.
And he said that is extremely challenging as the owner of a restaurant because the employees, they have 100% job security. Not necessarily at your restaurant, but they can go find another job in 10 minutes. So therefore, They tend to be a little bit lazier. They don't respect the position at all. He said one time his waiter, his serving staff, said he was going to the bathroom and didn't come back.
Just quit like that.
The world's longest bathroom break.
Well,
And he said,
that's
that's the
amazing.
common attitude.
Yeah.
So that can have an effect on employees, or in the way that people seek out work or keep their jobs, I guess. Right?
Yeah, and so the big Mackie D's, they have announced that they are going to be raising their hourly wages by an average of 10% to lure more workers, and they're looking to hire 10,000 workers in the next 3 months.
Interesting.
And they hope to have that $15 minimum wage by 2024.
We will pick this topic up after our 3:30 break. Here's James Morrison, You Give Me Something. We were talking about the fact before the break that the fast food industry in the United States is having a difficult time finding people to work in their restaurants. And I was thinking about that during the break because it seems counterintuitive, right? With so many people being laid off because businesses were affected so greatly by COVID that you would think that people would be lining up for any type of work that they could find, right? You would think that. And then I had a separate thought on a different kind of still related topic. Whenever we talk about these fast food restaurants and the fact that they have these what do you call them? These display screens now, where you order.
Like the kiosk?
The kiosk, thank you. You find that at Mart. You can find that at the Swedish furniture company store where you check yourself out, right? And every time that we talk about those shops and that issue, I always say, don't use those things because they're going to replace human jobs, right? And they say in the fast food restaurants, the kiosks outside are a test. And then later you're going to see AI flipping burgers and things. They're not going to have jobs for people anymore.
Sure.
So the reason I mentioned that is I thought, well, maybe this is why the fast food restaurants are moving in that direction is because not because they want to replace human jobs, it's because they can't find people to work in the shops. But then I saw this message from 6883. It says, actually, a lot of locations in the U.S. have trouble because the unemployed and COVID benefits are in essence equal to actually working. So a lot of U.S. states are looking to end the COVID benefits to the unemployed to force people to return to work. There are a lot of reports of restaurants offering over $20 to $25 per hour, but not getting applicants. And this for bottom-end jobs that require no education or skills. I see. So if what you say is true, then the money that you can get from COVID benefits or unemployment benefits is equal to or perhaps even sometimes greater than what you could make at a minimum wage job. So there is absolutely zero incentive to go to that minimum wage job.
Yeah, and I don't want to think that people are like that in the whole. Like, not enough people or a bigger proportion are lazy. Like, they'll just do that instead of get a job. But it's a reality. And I was going to talk about that. Yeah, that's a big reason, the COVID benefits. So states are starting to phase that out to encourage people to go to work. But the other side is things haven't got back to normal yet. So a lot of people who are maybe on those benefits, they've got kids, right? And if the schools and childcare centres aren't up and running, they also can't apply for these jobs. So that's just making it like a double, triple whammy. Some of the single parents or double working parents who would like to go back to work, they have nowhere to send their children. And those fees, the payment that they're getting is not enough to cover some kind of private childcare. And it was interesting you mentioned those kiosks because, I was listening to one of the fast food industry experts and they were saying a lot of the places are now accelerating the rollout of kiosks so they don't have to find humans for those jobs. And unfortunately, that's the tough reality. Also, it seems like they're having to adapt to the new normal, which is people not as keen to eat in their restaurants. So fast food restaurants are now reducing the number of tables, increasing their kitchen size. Have you heard the term ghost kitchen?
No.
That's where you're just doing food for delivery only.
Oh, okay.
Right, so it's for the apps and everything like that. Because even in the States, not just in Korea, those apps like Grubhub and whatnot have gone insanely popular. So they're thinking of maybe even closing stores and just having kitchens.
Right. So in a location where you don't even advertise that that's the food that's being made there.
No, there's no branding whatsoever.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes companies share spare kitchen as well to cut down costs. There's stuff like that in Seoul.
Interesting.
Yeah, in Seoul, there's a few hubs for delivery-only brands that have been created.
But that's not COVID related. That's been around for a long time,
The
right?
delivery apps,
Yeah.
But because the popularity is at a point now where it seems to make more sense not to have an offline location. Why sell to people who are going to eat there when you've got enough orders, right? And you don't need to pay for a prime location, anything like that.
Absolutely.
And some also in the States where it's feasible have started doing double drive-thrus. So because drive-thrus have got so popular, they're doing 2 lanes.
I was just about to mention we're probably going to see more drive-thrus now, but I didn't know that the double drive-thru was a thing.
Yeah, so they're thinking that's just going to get more popular. People reluctant, even after COVID's gone. And maybe they've got used to eating at home or in their vehicles and they like it. So they're going to cater to that audience.
I mean, I guess it's a tricky thing as a business owner. I mean, of course, you have to adjust with the times, right? And we're in different times now. But how much of an adjustment do you make?
Yeah.
You know, do you go double or triple drive-through and then everyone gets vaccinated, the masks go away and we go back to normal? And you say, well, people aren't going to want to go out and eat in restaurants because we've adjusted to eating at home. I would bet it would be the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I would think that the second we can get out of our houses and get back to any sense of normalcy to what we had before, people would beg for that chance.
Sure.
So as a business owner, you would have to be a little careful about not over-adjusting. Maybe.
Going too far down that road.
I could be wrong. It's just a thought.
No, maybe too many kiosks. People will be like, I don't want to go there. So I say, pay your workers fairly, and I'm sure the workers will come.
Yeah, well, I mean, like that message said, $20 to $25 and still not getting applicants, though, right?
That's quite worrisome.
I know. That's a lot because I think when it comes to those kind of jobs, I've worked those jobs before as a student. Even when I was in between jobs, I was also helping out at a restaurant. Mind you, the restaurant owner was a friend of mine, but I still did. And he was actually worried. He's like, it's like minimum wage. Like,
you sure?
You sure you want to do this? I know you're in between jobs, but still, would you want to do it? And I was like, sure, I'll help out and do stuff. And it's a lot of work that goes in for very little money. And
No doubt.
If the benefits are just kind of equaling that out, I would say I would just kind of rest at home, give myself a break.
I mean, it is what it is, right? And, talking about unemployment insurance, there are arguments for and against. That's a whole separate issue. And I think there have been plenty of studies done that prove that people want to be out and be social in public. They want to work, and they won't just stay home given the opportunity. That idea in support of unemployment insurance, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And this is all a spider web. So many different layers to the onion, right?
Yeah.
It's tough to figure out the right thing to do.
I just want the mask to go, us to get back to normal, and then live that experiment. See what we actually want.
Super hard work working in a fast food restaurant. But I'll tell you something. Nobody works harder than those yachties.
Those little yachties.
Here's Brandon Flowers, Lonely Town.